Type 1, the fader. Imagine you're at a birthday dinner. 15 people crammed around a table at some trendy restaurant where the music is just loud enough to make you repeat yourself 3 times per sentence. You showed up on time, brought a gift, even wore pants without elastic. Gold star for effort. The first 20 minutes, you're actually doing it, participating, laughing at jokes, asking someone about their new job. You're basically winning at being human. But then it happens. That familiar sensation. Like someone slowly draining your life force through an invisible straw. Your smile starts feeling like a mask made of cardboard. Your laugh sounds hollow even to your own ears. Someone's telling a story about their gym routine, and you realize you've been nodding for 2 minutes straight without processing a single word. Your social battery doesn't just die. It doesn't give you a polite warning like, hey, maybe start wrapping things up. No. It goes from 60% to emergency mode in the span of one conversation about someone's opinion on oat milk. The fader begins plotting their escape with the strategic precision of a bank heist. They start positioning themselves closer to the door. They check their phone with exaggerated concern, as if some urgent matter just appeared. They mention they have an early morning, on a Saturday, and then like smoke dissipating into air, they're gone. No dramatic farewell tour, no hugging 17 people goodbye, just a quiet, dignified evaporation. People always misunderstand the fader. They think they are antisocial and secretly hate everyone. Wrong. The fader genuinely enjoys human company, appreciates being invited, but their nervous system operates on a completely different frequency where every interaction is a small withdrawal from their energy account. The Irish goodbye isn't cowardice, it's survival. It's the fader honoring their limits before those limits turn them into someone unrecognizable. If you're a fader, stop apologizing. Start setting time limits before you arrive. I can stay until 9 is a complete sentence. Your friends will adjust, and you'll actually enjoy the time you're there instead of spending it calculating your escape velocity. Type 2, the mind spinner. Here's a scene. You send a text message to a friend. Hey, can we talk later? Simple. Straightforward. 4 words. You hit send and immediately your brain transforms into a disaster prediction center. 15 different scenarios start generating simultaneously. Did that sound too serious? Should you have added an emoji? Does later sound ominous? What if they think you're mad? What if they're mad and that's why you're worried they'll think you're mad? Welcome to the mind spinner's daily existence, a place where every social interaction becomes a full-length feature film, complete with alternate endings and director's commentary. Someone at work says nice shirt as they pass in the hallway. Normal people say thanks and move on. The mind spinner spends the next 45 minutes analyzing tone, facial expression, whether nice was genuine or sarcastic. They replay the 2-second interaction from multiple angles like they're reviewing game footage. A friend takes 3 hours to respond to a message. The mind spinner has already written a psychological thesis on what those 3 hours mean. They're busy. No, they're avoiding me. No, they're busy avoiding me. Or maybe their phone died. But what if they saw the message, started typing, then stopped? Here's what people don't realize. The mind spinner isn't paranoid. They're not creating problems. They're actually deeply, almost painfully caring. They replay conversations because they want to get it right. They analyze responses because they value connection. They spiral through possibilities because other people's feelings genuinely matter to them. The mind spinner catches micro-expressions that others miss entirely. They notice when someone's energy shifts. They can feel tension in a room before it becomes visible. They're emotional seismologists, detecting tremors no one else registers. The mind spinner would give anything for an off switch, for one day of taking things at face value, of not turning every K into a crisis. If you're a mind spinner, here's your lifeline. Write it down. When the spiral starts, physically write out what you're spinning about. 90% of the time, seeing your thoughts on paper reveals how unlikely your worst-case scenario actually is. And for the other 10%, at least you'll have clarity on what's actually worth addressing. Type 3, the NPC game night. 7 people debating whether water is wet. The debate has reached passionate levels. Someone's using hand gestures. Someone else just Googled scientific articles to prove their point. And then there's you, sitting on the couch, occasionally sipping your drink, observing this entire theatrical production with the quiet interest of a nature documentarian watching chimpanzees interact. You are the NPC, the non-playable character in everyone else's main quest. You're not shy, you're not bored, you're not secretly judging everyone, though you are secretly fascinated by the group dynamics unfolding before you. You've simply accepted your role as background presence. And honestly, it's kind of comfortable here. While everyone else competes for airtime, you exist peacefully in the margins. You're the person who nods encouragingly, who laughs at the right moments, who passes the chips without being asked. People sometimes forget you're there. They'll say something, then glance over with surprise like, "Oh, right, you're here too." And weirdly, that doesn't offend you. You're not trying to be memorable. You're just here, present, witnessing. The NPC has a superpower no one talks about. They notice everything. While the main characters are busy with their plot lines and dialogue, the NPC is absorbing the entire scene. The subtle power dynamics, who interrupts whom, who's performing versus who's being genuine. You're a collector of details. The person who remembers that someone mentioned their cat was sick 3 weeks ago. Who notices when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes? Who catches the micro moment when someone's feelings get hurt, even though they cover it immediately? This makes you the unofficial therapist friend. Because when you finally do speak, you speak with precision. You've been listening, truly listening, while everyone else was waiting for their turn to talk. The downside is people sometimes mistake your quietness for disinterest. They might ask, "Are you okay?" when you're perfectly fine, just existing at a lower volume than they're used to. But the NPC knows something important. Not every moment needs to be filled. Sometimes the best contribution is attention, presence without performance. If you're an NPC, own it strategically. Your observations are valuable precisely because you're not caught up in the performance. When you do speak, make it count. One insightful comment beats 10 forgettable ones every single time. Type 4, the cloud walker. Picture a classroom. The teacher is explaining something about economics, supply and demand, market equilibrium, important stuff probably. But you're not in the classroom. Your body is doing an excellent job of looking attentive. But you left 15 minutes ago. You're currently in a castle made of moonlight, having a conversation with a character you invented when you were 12, discussing whether time travel would feel cold. This is the cloud walker. The introvert whose imagination is so vivid that reality feels like the distraction. Cloud walkers spend approximately 60% of their waking life somewhere else. Not avoiding the present, but because the present feels like a rough draft and their inner world is the final edit. More color, better dialogue, actual plot development. Someone's talking to you about their weekend. You're nodding, making appropriate face movements. But internally, you're scoring an orchestral piece for the rainy scene you just imagined. Cloudwalkers don't hear a song, they see an entire music video, complete with choreography, costume changes, and a storyline spanning 3 generations. They don't just daydream, they construct entire universes with architecture, history, and political systems. The real world constantly interrupts these creations with rude demands. Pay attention. Are you listening? And you have to perform a rapid mental teleportation back to Earth, blinking like someone adjusting to harsh lighting. The worst is when someone asks, "What are you thinking about?" Because how do you explain you were contemplating whether clouds have feelings without sounding unhinged? So you say nothing, and they look at you like you're simple. Cloudwalkers are often incredibly creative. They're writers who haven't written anything down, artists without portfolios, filmmakers without cameras. Their medium is imagination itself, and they're prolific creators in a gallery no one else can visit. The challenge? All this mental wandering makes them seem scattered, forgetful, spacey. They walk into rooms and forget why. They miss exits while driving. They agree to things they don't remember agreeing to. But cloudwalkers bring magic to mundane moments. They see possibilities where others see routine. They find stories in ordinary objects. They make metaphors out of traffic lights. If you're a cloudwalker, stop fighting it. Instead, schedule it. Give yourself designated daydream time where you can fully immerse without guilt. The rest of the time, use physical anchors, notes, alarms, anything that keeps you tethered when you need to be. Your imagination is a gift, not a flaw. Just need better management. Type 5, the selective 2 scenarios. Scenario 1, you're invited to a party, 30 people, loud music, everyone's mingling, networking, doing that thing where they talk to someone while scanning the room for someone more interesting. You attend, you smile, you participate, and you feel absolutely nothing. Empty. Going through motions, performing social without feeling it. Scenario 2, coffee with one specific person, someone who gets your humor, who doesn't require you to explain your references, who can sit in silence without making it weird. Suddenly you're alive, laughing genuinely, talking for 2 hours without checking the time, actually enjoying being human. This is the selective, the introvert who doesn't connect through quantity but through chemistry. Selectives have a very specific emotional immune system. Most people don't pass the compatibility test, not because they're bad people, but because the selective operates on a different frequency. They need resonance to truly open up. To outsiders, it looks random. Why are they so warm with that person but so distant with everyone else? The selective can't always explain it either. It's instinctive. Certain people feel safe, feel easy, feel like home. Everyone else feels like work. The selective social world is small by design. They're not collecting acquaintances. They're not trying to be popular. They've built a tiny, carefully curated ecosystem of people who matter deeply, and everyone else exists in a polite but distant outer circle. At gatherings, the selective does the minimum. Polite hellos, surface-level chat, but they're not really there. They're in conservation mode. Put them one-on-one with their person, though? Different human. Fully present, engaged, genuinely delighted. This can make them seem cold or exclusive. People feel the difference in how the selective treats their inner circle versus everyone else. The selective often feels guilty about this. Society says we should be open, friendly, give everyone a chance. The selective has tried. It exhausts them. It feels fake. What they've learned, their love is a limited resource. Better to pour it fully into a few people than to sprinkle it thin across many. Their friendships may be few, but they're profound, loyal, the kind that lasts decades. If you're selective, stop feeling guilty about your small circle. Quality over quantity isn't just a preference, it's how you're wired. The people in your circle know they're chosen, and that matters more than being liked by everyone. Protect your energy. Invest it wisely. The right people will understand. Type 6, the shy spirit. You're about to enter a room where people are already talking, just a casual gathering. Nothing intense, but your hand hesitates on the doorknob. Your heart rate increases. Your mind starts running emergency protocols. Walk in naturally. Don't look awkward. Smile, but not too much. Where will you stand? What will you do with your hands? Your hands feel enormous suddenly. Why are hands so noticeable? This is the shy spirit. The introvert whose anxiety about social situations creates a force field around normal interactions. The shy spirit isn't antisocial. They're not stuck up. They're not disinterested. They're terrified. Genuinely, physically afraid of the simple act of existing in social spaces. Someone says, "Come join us," and the shy spirit's entire nervous system responds like they've been asked to defuse a bomb. Their brain floods with worst-case scenarios. What if I say something stupid? What if I stand wrong? What if everyone's looking at me? The shy spirit experiences social interaction as performance anxiety. Every word feels like it's being delivered on stage under harsh lighting. Every movement feels exaggerated, clumsy, wrong. They're hyper-aware of their own existence in a way that makes existing feel impossible. Someone gives them a compliment. Instead of saying thanks and moving on, the shy spirit freezes. Their brain short-circuits. They either mumble something unintelligible or say, "you too," when it makes no sense. Then they replay that moment for the next 6 years. But here's what people miss about shy spirits. Underneath the nervousness is incredible depth. They're not silent because they have nothing to say. They're silent because they're processing everything intensely, feeling everything deeply, wanting desperately to connect, but not knowing how to build the bridge. Give a shy spirit time. Don't rush them. Don't put them on the spot. Don't force them into the center of attention. They won't bloom. They'll wilt. But create a safe space. Be patient. Let them warm up at their own pace. And eventually, gradually, they'll unfold. They'll reveal a gentleness, a thoughtfulness, a sincerity that's breathtaking precisely because it was so carefully protected. If you're a shy spirit, practice micro-bravery. Not grand gestures, small ones. Make eye contact 1 second longer. Say one thing in a group conversation. Compliment one person. Build your confidence in increments, not leaps. And find people who don't punish your quietness. They exist, and they're worth searching for. Type 7. The offline mute. In the group chat, you're a comedy legend. Your timing is perfect. Your references are chef's kisses. Your memes, exquisite. People screenshot your messages. You're basically the group's entertainment director. Then someone suggests meeting in person. Everyone's excited. Finally, we get to hang out with the funniest person ever. You show up, and suddenly, where did that person go? Your personality, your wit, your entire vibe, it all stayed in the digital realm. In person, you become a completely different human. Quiet, reserved. Your jokes don't land because your timing is off. This is the offline mute. The introvert who's a lion in text and a mouse in person. Online communication gives the offline mute everything they need to thrive. Time to think, time to edit, time to delete that weird thing before anyone sees it. They can craft their personality like an artist working on a canvas. They have control, but face-to-face, control disappears. Words are immediate. There's no backspace, no time to workshop your response. People's faces are right there, reacting in real time, and that's somehow terrifying. The offline mute isn't being fake online. That personality is real. They're just expressing it through a medium that works better for how their brain processes social interaction. Text gives them the space to be their full self. In-person conversation moves too fast for them to keep up. What feels natural to everyone else, the spontaneous flow of conversation, feels like being asked to improvise a speech with no preparation. The offline mute is thinking while everyone else is talking. They're processing while others are responding. By the time they've formulated their thoughts, the conversation has moved 3 topics away, so they stay quiet. Not because they have nothing to say, but because translating their thoughts into spoken words at conversational speed feels like running a race they're not trained for. People get confused. You're so funny online, why are you so quiet now? And the offline mute can't explain that these feel like 2 entirely different skill sets. But the people who stick around, who understand that the offline mute's true self lives partly in written words, they get something special. They get both versions, the brilliant texting personality and the quiet, thoughtful presence. Type 8, the iron veil. Someone asks you how you're feeling, really feeling. They're being genuine, caring, trying to connect, and something in you instantly locks. Not angrily, not visibly, just shuts, like a door closing quietly but firmly. Your face remains neutral, your voice stays steady. I'm fine, you say, and you mean it to mean this conversation ends here. This is the iron veil. The introvert, whose emotions are kept behind reinforced walls. From the outside, the iron veil seems unshakable, calm, composed. Nothing bothers them. Nothing penetrates. They're the steady one, the reliable one, the one who never falls apart because they never seem to feel anything intensely. Wrong. They feel everything intensely. They just feel it privately. The iron veil learned early that showing emotions is risky. Emotions can be misunderstood, weaponized, dismissed, so they keep them internal, locked away where they're safe from other people's reactions, judgments, or unsolicited advice. When something hurts them, they don't cry in front of others. They file it away, process it later, alone, where the tears can fall without an audience. When something angers them, they stay calm externally while internally cataloging every detail. When they're overwhelmed, they maintain composure until they can retreat to privacy. People misread this as coldness, emotional unavailability, being closed off. But the iron veil isn't unfeeling. They're protective. They know their emotions are precious, fragile things, and they're selective about who gets access. Trust takes forever with the iron veil. They don't open up after 3 deep conversations. They don't trauma dump on new friends. They reveal themselves in microscopic increments, testing whether each small disclosure is handled with care before offering anything deeper. But when they finally trust someone, completely and fully, that's when the veil lifts. And underneath is a depth of feeling that's staggering. loyalty that's unshakable, love that's quiet but absolutely solid. The iron veil doesn't cry easily, doesn't overshare, doesn't perform emotions for validation. They simply exist with their feelings held close, shared only with those who've proven they can hold them gently. If you're an iron veil, understand this. Your emotional privacy is valid, but total isolation isn't strength. It's just loneliness with better PR. Find one person, just one, someone who's earned your trust through consistency, not grand gestures. Practice small disclosures. Test the waters. You don't have to become an open book, but even iron needs occasional maintenance. Let someone in before the weight of carrying everything alone crushes you. Type 9, the homebody. Friends are making plans. Let's try that new restaurant. Let's go to that concert. Let's be adventurous. You're sitting there thinking, but my couch knows exactly how I sit. My blanket has been warming up for me all day. My specific corner of the room has achieved perfect comfort equilibrium. Why would I abandon this sanctuary? This is the homebody. The introvert for whom home isn't just a place, it's a carefully engineered ecosystem of peace. The homebody's space is sacred. Every object has been chosen. Every light source is positioned. The temperature calibrated. The sounds controlled. It's not just organized, it's optimized for their specific nervous system. Going out requires emotional labor that others don't understand. It's not just getting dressed and leaving. It's dismantling the cocoon of comfort they've built. It's preparing to interface with chaos, unpredictability, and other people's energy. The homebody will agree to plans because they understand social obligations exist. But the moment they commit, part of them starts the countdown to when they can return home. They're already pre-exhausted by the idea of leaving, because out there they can't control anything. The restaurant might be too loud, the chairs might be uncomfortable, someone might want to extend the plans. There are too many variables, and each one is a potential source of stress. But at home, control, predictability, safety. They can eat when they're hungry, not when everyone else is ready. They can be quiet without it being awkward. They can exist without performing social for anyone. When a homebody invites you to their space, understand, this is enormous. They're letting you into the sanctuary. You're being trusted with their safe place. That invitation means more than any fancy dinner out. The world sees the homebody as boring, unadventurous, maybe even agoraphobic. They're none of those things. They simply know where they function best, and they refuse to apologize for choosing their own comfort over society's expectations of constant social activity. If you're a homebody, set boundaries without guilt. I prefer hosting as a complete sentence. So as I'm staying in tonight. Your home is your recharge station, and you're allowed to prioritize it. But also, occasionally push yourself, not for others, for you. Sometimes the things that scare us a little are the things we end up being glad we did. Balance sanctuary with small adventures. Both can coexist. Type 10, the depth seeker. You're trapped in a conversation about traffic patterns. Someone is explaining in detail why the new highway exit has improved their commute by 4 minutes. Everyone's nodding politely. You're dying inside. Not physically, but spiritually. You can feel your soul packing bags, writing a resignation letter, preparing to vacate your body entirely. This is the depth seeker. The introvert is allergic to shallow water. Depth seekers can't do small talk. Not won't. Can't. Their brain literally rejects it like a body rejecting a foreign organ. They need substance, meaning. They need conversations that go somewhere real. When someone asks, "How's the weather?" the depth seeker hears, "Let's discuss something completely meaningless." They're not being pretentious. They're genuinely confused why we spend so much time exchanging empty words when we could be discussing what makes life worth living. The depth seeker wants to know how you're really doing. Not fine. Actually, what's weighing on you? What are you learning about yourself? What keeps you up at night? What makes you feel alive? They're drawn to people who think deeply, feel honestly, and aren't afraid of serious conversations. Put them with someone willing to explore ideas, and they'll talk for hours. Put them in a room discussing celebrity gossip, and they'll start planning their escape. At parties, the depth seeker finds one person, one real person, and disappears into conversation with them for the entire event. They're not trying to be antisocial. They're trying to have one genuine connection instead of 20 meaningless exchanges. People sometimes find them intense. Why are you always so serious? But the depth seeker isn't trying to be heavy. They just don't know how to do light. Their mind naturally gravitates toward meaning like water flowing downhill. The beautiful thing about depth seekers, when they connect with you, they really see you. They ask questions that make you think. They listen in ways that make you feel heard. They create conversational space where truth can exist. If you're a depth seeker, learn the art of the bridge question. Instead of suffering through small talk or making people uncomfortable with immediate depth, use questions that can go shallow or deep depending on how the other person responds. What's been taking up most of your headspace lately can be answered with, "Oh, just work stuff," or it can open into something real. Give people the option. Some will surprise you. 10 types, 10 different ways of being quietly brilliant. The world is built for the loud, the social, the always on. But here's what they don't tell you. The world also desperately needs the observers, the thinkers, the ones who recharge in silence. Your introversion isn't a flaw to fix. It's a feature to understand. Each of these types has something powerful to offer. The fader knows their limits and respects them. The mind spinner cares so deeply they can't help but analyze. The NPC sees everything everyone else misses. The cloud walker brings imagination to a world that's forgotten how to dream. The selective builds relationships that actually last. The shy spirit possesses a gentleness this harsh world needs. The offline mute crafts their words with intention. The iron veil protects their heart until someone proves they can hold it. The homebody creates sanctuaries in a chaotic world. The depth seeker refuses to settle for surface-level existence. You're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're not less than the extroverts who seem to navigate the world effortlessly. You're just playing a different game with different rules. And the sooner you stop apologizing for how you're wired, the sooner you can start using it as your advantage.